Shannon, integrative counselor, popping on here once again to share some information and some dangers, some things I'm noticing online. I feel like things come full circle. Years ago, now I do many things, despite this one person on the internet who continues to try to cancel me. Um, uh, I have taught at various universities and have worked in a variety um, of things at the same time because people can have more than one job. So when I was a university instructor and working at my small business at the same time, yes, people do have more than one job. I was asked to write a chapter of a textbook for graduate students on online safety. At the time, I passed and I said, "Oh, I feel like this information, people know online safety." And I wasn't, I passed on the opportunity. And now I feel like, wow, this is really relevant, even more so as I see a lot of the dangers online. And not that I had wished that I had written this, because I'm sure somebody did, and I'm sure they did a wonderful job. Um, but I have my chance and opportunity to now because of the problems and things that I'm noticing on the World Wide Web. So I posted today about what I'm seeing from wellness influencers that are calling their just wide open platforms on social media platforms as a safe container and a community, and that's okay. And I get what they're saying, but at the same time, I wrote very much today as to what a community actually involves, what safety entails, and your information online is public, so anyone can read that. And I get the medical industrial complex and all the barriers to receiving health and care are so many, especially in America, where most people don't have sufficient health care coverage. I know I don't, or mental health coverage, or trauma, support, or communities, or any of the things that are necessary, right? Because it's a mess. And and I'm seeing influencers and wellness spaces uh, talk to people as if their information isn't public, and people are sharing their trauma histories like in depth. And I get that that's important, and I understand that, and I understand where there's almost no places for that. And I just want folks to understand that that's not true safety. And the person that, unless you're working with them one on one, or you're a part of like a community that's like that, it has an actual like procedures, and that you have voices and choices in, and your information is held as confidential. I understand that could be supplementing to maybe what someone is doing online, but I really just want people to discern. Okay, actual safety is very, very different than these almost fake pseudo relationships that are online. I don't know who posted it, but a someone this is someone else's words, and please, let's give credit to where it goes, but I actually cannot remember. But it was like, we have 1,000 social media connections, yet no one can come and help feed our cat, when we're on vacation. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I want folks to have the people in their lives, and when they are in community, have the people that can help feed their cat, that can help, cook them a meal, that they've earned the right. People have to earn the right to hear your trauma history, not just because I want. And I understand it. I get it. I have complex trauma history too, and there's parts of us that have to be validated and haven't been seen. And some of those communities are lifelines, and I do not want to take away from that experience for people. That has been a part of my path, right? When you're learning about like a, my goodness, like a very specific like environmental illness, and those things are so important to your recovery, to have those types of open spaces to get to know people, to be more personal. But we can be vulnerable too at the same time. And I just, I also have a degree in marketing, right? And I understand from a marketing perspective, why this is happening, but at the same time, my God, my heart hurts. My heart hurts because I'm looking at all these comments and all this trauma history is sharing, and I'm like, my God, I hope there's people in their lives that are hearing this information, that they're like body to body, spirit to spirit, soul to soul, that someone's holding them, that someone's being with them, that someone is acknowledging that day in and day out, because that's for everybody. And so I wrote about that, and so that's out there. There are cult dynamics that are happening that are I am on a daily basis alarmed at a very extreme level as to some of these wellness places, and in the U.S. it's an election year, and these political ideologies, and even some therapeutic tactics that are getting to be kind of culty, and sending off some warning signals. And you really want to be around people and places where you can ask questions, where you can give feedback, where you have voices and choices, where where you're seen as an expert in your lived experience, where you're allowed to not know, and you still belong, and you're understood, and your autonomy and your agency, and everything that's unique about you is okay. And for neurodivergent people and trauma survivors and people with disabilities and chronic illness, that you're also accommodated, because that's part of trauma informed care, right? That you're accommodated, that if there's different learning styles, or if this isn't how you communicate, I hope that learning platforms allow for voice messages. I hope that I do all my messages in black and white, because I have worked with individuals with vision impairments in the past, and I know that that's the most readable format. I do multimedia, so that um, those that learn by listening, right? So that learning styles. Again, I have a teaching background in addition to, um, and I'm a neurodivergent person. I learn differently, um, and uniquely, and it's amazing. And it's just it has to be accommodated. And so those are some of the things that you want to look for, for these communities. And please don't take this as I have got to get offline and I can't share and I can't. For some people, that may be the only place that you can. My hope is that I help you discern a little bit more. And so, because there's this phase, when you go through, especially when you're healing complex trauma and trauma, where you may end up not having a lot of people in your life, right, that can understand you, and you may feel very alone and isolated. And if I get more time and energy and support and collaboration, I'd love to create, more ways for people to, in actual safe ways, to share, as I did in the past with my reboot. But for now, reading the room and reading my own body, that's just not what is happening, and that's okay. And what we can do is discern, with what we have, and you are allowed to decide what's safe, not someone online. There is no objectionably safe environment container ever. I've written this in the past, and there just isn't, because you decide and everyone decides. So what can be safe for you can be not safe for someone else. And and that's the nature of trauma. There are a lot of people out there posing as if they understand trauma, and maybe they understand their own trauma, but do they understand complex trauma of a large swath of individuals? A lot of times they don't. And I can tell this, but another person can't. And they certainly can't understand trauma and neurodivergence, or trauma and chronic illness, trauma and autoimmunity, trauma and like rare diseases, and all of this, these, and all these other ways that someone can be marginalized, or poverty, right? Like, America is unique in the fact that we're a developed country, yet we don't have universalized healthcare. And I'm assuming most people are under resourced in healthcare, and don't have preventative care. And that you see, functional medicine practitioners screaming about chronic illness, not understanding the systems trauma that all of us are a part of. And so you have to be pretty wealthy to not have be exposed to toxins on a daily basis. And yes, we can inform ourselves, but we're part of the system's trauma, and the individual trauma is experienced from the system's trauma. Again, that's the nature of what it is, and it's just really important that there's a lot of discernment, right? Just a lot, and that's why I put information out there. I'll be talking a little bit more about some really dangerous things that I'm seeing coming as part of the social commentary, the culture, and I put culture in quotations because culture is the infinite game, and right now we are not in a great place. Society is a finite game and is more about trauma, more trauma responsives than culture is, because we shape the culture, and the culture is a hot mess right now because, especially in America where it's hyper individualized, um, extremism at, you name it. It's we're if we had a bumper sticker for America, it'd be the land of the extremes, right? Other countries that are developed, some are just, they're not this way. They're just not. And so we're less embodied in the West. We're less spiritual. We're more. Oh my gosh, I was learning some information last night. More information about trauma from like a shamanic perspective, and we are more. We have siloed someone's wholeness. Here's your mind, here's your body, here's your spirit, here's your energy, and I combine these in my practice because it's it's nonsensical what we're doing. In many other cultures, it's the integration of all, and that's okay. Many other cultures have way more compassionate ways to be with folks in non-ordinary states of being. We in America pathologize everything in the mental health world is devoid of the spiritual. Yet when you're healing trauma, sometimes only the spirituality comes about, because it can be this deeply profoundly spiritual experience. And especially when you encounter like inner guides and ancestors and all of that is part of your process, or have psychedelics as part of your process, yeah, it's going to be a very spiritual, and that's to be expected. Anyone that's worked in trauma for any length of time, that's just a known. And spirituality doesn't have to mean what you think it means. Purpose and meaning, awe, wonder, expansiveness, the inexplainable, the felt sense of everything and nothing, infinity, those types of things. And also, the dark side of that continuum of like the dark night of the soul, the nihilism, the isolation, the aloneness, aspects of addiction and trauma and all of that. All of it is to be included. All is welcome. And then we have the spiritual side, and that's devoid of trauma informed care. And so there's all this bypassing, all this narcissism, all this preying on vulnerable people for the answers. Or, I have the answers, I'm the gatekeeper. There's so much gatekeeping in both that it just, I want to scream. So I'm on here. I'm not screaming, I'm informing, because a lot of people have the sense of it, and we just haven't named it, right? And I'm naming it. Okay, I came here to name the things so we can help and do this work together, because it is individual and it's collective. Okay, again, the West does this the worst. Almost is like you heal by yourself, and then what? You heal by yourself. What are we doing? It's both and. You heal your individual things uniquely and in community, right? The shamanic view, and a lot of shamanic cultures in which I have ancestry in, the view is that if there's trauma in any individual, it's an opportunity for the whole community to surround the person, and that's a systems view of trauma. That's accurate. These shamanic indigenous cultures, they are more evidence-based than what will probably come out of research in the next 100, 200 years. And oh man, is that frustrating? It's frustrating, right, for the people that know. And yet, there's so many practitioners besides myself and individuals that know this, millions and millions, right? Because when you heal and you meet those ancestral traumas, and you meet those aspects, in the transpersonal realms and non-ordinary states of consciousness as you heal, because all trauma healing is in non-ordinary states. It expands, and so the mind is actually multiple and porous and transpersonal. Jung was onto it, right? Now, yeah, there's some. He's had some problems with some of the he couldn't quite embody some of the things, and that's okay, right? Like every healer's healing. There's still the humanity to deal with in this experience that we're having separately, together, all at the same time. And so I'm seeing some trends that are, I'm shaking my head because, and I'm laughing because I'm incredulous because it is so dangerous what I'm seeing. And again, my background is a triple threat because not only do I have the education, um, but I have the experience because I've worked with tens of thousands of individuals from every single cultural background in a non pathologizing way, always have been this way. And then I have my personal lived experience. And I say it's a triple threat, but I feel like sometimes I'm screaming into the void because I'm not following in line with some of my colleagues that are very conditioned into one way, which isn't working. It's just not. Okay. It works for some, and I am a fan of all paths that work, that are helpful, and all ways that someone knows themselves. And so don't get it twisted. I'm a both and. So if talk therapy is working for you, I'm into it. For whatever, if anything's working for you, I'm into it. Okay, and you can access it. I'm down. I'm down. What all of it? Medical model, shamanism, alternative medicine, Ayurvedic. I don't all of it. All I'm a fan of a fan. That's why I call myself the integrative counselor, because the integrative counselor is about helping folks building bridges and gaps between all the systems and fixing and doing what I can for the systems trauma. Again, one person, got my own trauma history, autoimmune stuff. I do what I can. I am a thread of our interconnected blanket, and I can do all that I can do on the thread, right? Like I'm interconnected, but I'm going to stay in my lane. And I'm going to do that, and I'm not in a fixer mode. I've cleared up those trauma responses and integrated them into, I'm here to do good work and the work that I can do. And what I can do is make this video and tell you about a couple things that I'm concerned about. One of it is the traditional wife movement, which has very much flavors of Christian nationalism and really, really rigid really, really rigid roles. And I'm okay if someone feels like they still have their autonomy, their agency, their voice, and their choice. They're not getting financially, they're not in a domestic violence situation. But what we see in America is people want to get famous because there's this unnameable thing of the almost a I refer to it almost as a caste system because of economics in America is extreme and we do it the most, and folks want to get out of poverty and they want to be an influencer, they want to be one of the 2%. And so I'm very concerned about the traditional wife movement. I'm very concerned about some of these polarity teachings of the divine masculine, the divine feminine. Again, these are energies that exist within humans, both the divine masculine and the feminine. It doesn't have anything to do with gender. It has to do with energy. As an energetic practitioner as well, this is alarming. And there is this is getting worse, and people are having trauma histories and creating more exiles and trauma within their own system by repressing aspects of themselves. And everyone's allowed on the continuum to integrate the masculine and feminine within them. And I'm not even talking about gender. Okay, so some of these esoteric teachings are being misunderstood, are being dumbed down to a level that it's traumatic and I mean, it's misinformation, and it's a huge problem. And the third thing I'm concerned about is twin flames, because there's a documentary out there that is illuminating, and a lot of times what is written about twin flames is, again, misunderstanding of esoteric information, and it's keeping folks in traumatic relationships and in domestic violence, again. And so I'm very concerned. I'm very, very concerned. I'm very concerned about some of the ways that we're going, having escaped a cult, because this is happening. What I grew up with and left, I am seeing it, and the collective. I'm about to cry here. I'm seeing it in the collective as being like we're headed in a dangerous direction, and I'm seeing it in a body and a collective. And having worked through decades of this, the amounts of pain that we're going to experience as the collective as to where we're going, I don't know how America almost comes back to where we're headed. This is, we're in treacherous waters, okay? And I'm sounding the alarm bells. Please be discerning. I know that people are lacking community and purpose and meaning, and please don't give up your divinity, your sovereignty, your agency, your autonomy, your individuality, yourself to these groups and systems that are emotionally and spiritually mature, that are not trauma informed, and that are not inviting all aspects of you to be welcome. Question, 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 question. And if you're not allowed to question, that's your answer. Okay. I'm concerned. I am deeply concerned. And oh, please don't give up. Please don't give up your soul for a hashtag. Don't do it. Don't. The aesthetic of the trad wife, do you know how that plays out? Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it in real time. I've seen it in real time. Ooh, the aesthetic's not worth it, boo. And if you're in a domestic violence situation, you're in a domestic violence situation. Doesn't mean, is your twin flame a runner? Oh no, is my sound gone? Oh no. Well, whatever you got, I hope you got. But yeah, I'm concerned deeply. I'll continue to talk about this because it's not going anywhere. I'm not either, but man, we are. I want to send out life. Okay, thank you. I want to send out like life jackets, okay, and we can put our life jackets together, right, and we can get in our floaties and we can hook up to one another and we can stay sane. The world's getting insane, and it doesn't mean you have to join it, but you're gonna have to stay so centered in your being and question what's happening around you, because the social credits that are happening out there to maintain an aesthetic over over um, over your sovereignty, it's not worth it. I've seen it play out, and holy shit, this is like a ghost from the future. Please question it. I don't care how cute the dresses are. I don't care how much. Oh God, we're looking to find ourselves. That's what's happening. And to understand yourself, and because it explains some aspects of the pain, I get it. I get the want and the need, and if it's helping you, I'm okay with that. But if you're losing yourself and if you are having to conform, that's not it, okay? To conform is to lose aspects of yourself. And cults rely on conformity. Stay weird, stay unique, okay? Black sheep, stay black, and you do not have to follow the masses off a cliff. Please don't. I'm asking that you take a break, read some things about cults, follow cult information, question some of the social narratives, and discern. If something starts feeling iffy, or if your trauma responses start turning up, or you feel like you're losing aspects of yourself to gain acceptance, if you feel like you have to be accepted, that's a question. Because true safety and to be involved in community allows you to just be your authentic nature, whatever that means, okay? Whatever that means. And we're all here to do that. All of us. We're not here to conform. We're not here to comply. We're not here to fall within this cute hashtag. We're here to be uniquely our true selves. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.